series where we've been showing you little 10-minute tips over a cup of tea, and we've kind of been thinking about that for our Australian and New Zealand clients who are maybe at 8 o'clock in the morning in Australia time, Sydney time, having a cup of tea with their breakfast, or morning tea time in New Zealand, and just showing you little tips and tricks on how you can use Google or Microsoft or Apple or different tools to better engage learners, to better use your technology skills as a remote workforce and so on. But today I wanted to just talk to you if you are I guess not one of those early adopters of technology. And sometimes a lot of the technology training that gets handed out to schools or handed out to workplaces are really guided and aimed at people who are, early adopters. They love technology. They love to get in and get their hands dirty. They're happy to try things and have a break. But really what's happening right now in education and in business is that everybody is relying on technology. And so maybe in the role that you had previous to remote work or remote learning, remote teaching, you could kind of hide a little bit. You could rely on different workflows, different tool sets. You could get help from different people across the hallway, across the room, and so on. But so here we find ourselves in a different work environment where we are very much reliant on our technology. And some of the things that we're seeing over and over again in terms of the questions we're receiving, whether that be on our Facebook Messenger app, which is embedded in our homepage on our website, whether it's via email from clients and customers and schools that we've dealt with previously, or through our Contacts Us form. Maybe someone's read a blog post on our site or watched a video on YouTube, and now they're asking us questions. And a lot of the questions that we're getting right now are along the lines of how I used to feel comfortable in the workflow that I had, in the tools that I was using. If you're a teacher, you were comfortable in the way that you're teaching, the way that you're engaging students, the way that you're able to hand out work, take work back. And now you're relying on a completely different system. And so one of the things I wanted to just communicate this morning to you is that you don't have to be an early adopter of technology, or you don't have to be a techie person to be proficient in technology and to use it really well. And so maybe you're sitting there thinking, okay, so I understand that, you would say that because you run a technology company and you're a tech person. So what would you know about what it's like to not use technology? But I guess that's one of the great things about my story is that I used to teach high school science, and I taught history and geography for a number of years. And then in that process of moving my teaching practice from no technology use whatsoever, maybe every now and then going down to a computer lab, remember those things, and having the students go and work in a computer lab for a period or for a couple of hours, and then taking them back to the classroom where the real teaching happened, to moving into a technology-infused classroom, which was not my choice, by the way. It was forced upon me through the state, for the national government in Australia at that time, put laptops in the hand of every student. And it just so happened that I was teaching in a high school at that time that was a senior college. And so we went from no technology to every student having a one-to-one device. Every student had a laptop in overnight, basically. But the amazing thing about that was that it didn't necessarily solve any of our problems. And so as a teacher, I was caught between people telling me that if you're going to be a great teacher, you need to use technology, and then also looking at it in practice in the classroom and just thinking, this makes no sense whatsoever. I'm not getting any better results. In fact, I've got more discipline problems now. I've got students who aren't bringing laptops, and what do I do with them? I've got students who are bringing laptops that aren't charged. I've got more headaches than when we didn't have tech, and I don't see the benefit of it. And so I wasn't an early adopter of technology. I wasn't someone who went and sought that out. In fact, I went through a season where I just felt like a second-class teacher in some senses, because every conference I went to, even if it was a pedagogy, behavior and learning, motivation type conference, there was always a technology strand, or the keynote was always about technology. And it seemed like all the great teachers were out there using technology to do that. And so I really did wrestle with that. And in 2011, this all started to shift. So, I went to a Google conference and I saw how Google was using technology in the cloud at that time to show teachers how they could use technology in a way that would help teaching and learning. And so up until that point, everything had just been saved on a computer or maybe on a school server, but you couldn't access it. You sure as heck couldn't see what the students were doing on their screen, because you would go up to see what they were doing and they would just go Alt-Tab and flick between tabs and you could just never catch them out. And so, like, I get it. I saw the struggle. I was part of that struggle. But when I went to that conference at Google that day, I got it. And so what I got was a vision for how you could use technology in a way that would reduce stress, reduce frustration, and so on. And it wasn't all smooth sailing from there. But what I did notice as a non-early adopter of technology is that quite often technology people were talking about stuff that was so like extended beyond my practice of where I needed to be that I couldn't quite get the gap from where I was to where I needed to be successful using technology as a teacher, just in fundamental ways. And so one of the things that I want to just talk through with you this morning is a little bit about how to bridge that gap from where you are right now to where you need to be when you're teaching remote or you're working remote. And, you know, I'm using a lot of classroom examples here, but the same principle applies for those of you that may be watching that are in a corporate or a government environment working through a business scenario. It's the same principle. It's the same process that you need. So I want to just thank you for watching it live. If you're catching the recording, thanks for being a part of it. I'm going to drop some links into chat for you today, tools and tips and tricks. If you've got any questions, more than happy for you to add them into chat. And if we see them when we're live, I'll do my best to answer them. Or if they're posted post the live, then what we will do is have someone reply to that from the team as the day goes on. So let's just talk about this transition from where you are to where you need to be. The first thing you need to realize is that if you need to take a step, say I've got a vision and I'm here and I need to be on the other side of the room, I can't just take one step from here to the other side of the room. It's not physically possible for me to shift that far in one go. What I need to do is I need to figure out what are my steps going to be that are going to take me from here to there. And sometimes what you do if you're not an early adopter of technology or you're struggling with technology use is you look at where some people are, or you look at where conference presenters tell you you need to be, or you search the internet and you see wonderful examples of technology use and you just think, well, how do I get from here to there without, causing me to do the splits or pulling a hamstring? And so what you need to do is you need to work out a way where you can set out a series of steps that you can take. Now, if you're a school leader or a business leader and you're looking at this for your team, one of the things we say all the time, and I struggle to see sometimes how people don't see it, but it's one of those things that I guess when we're looking at our whole team and we think we've got to move everybody to the finish line, is we don't understand is that everyone should be taking their next step, but not everyone needs to be taking the same step. And so one of the fundamental principles of moving your team forward, one of the fundamental ways of getting your whole team to progress in their technology use is to help each teacher take their next step, or each business person to take their next step, but they don't have to be the same step. We're all on different parts of this journey and we all want to be progressing, but how do we allow for that to happen? So the first link I'm going to just drop into chat for you right now is a skills checklist that you can use. And this skills checklist will enable you to, let me just put this up here and I'm going to show it up on the screen as well. This will enable you to download a Google, an Apple, or a Microsoft skills progression, and you can self-assess where you are in the different tools. So we've broken this down into a basic, an intermediate, and an advanced levels. And so one of the things that we would say to you, if you are looking at progressing your skills, is have a look at these different tools and say, okay, how do I go from basic to intermediate in one tool in a certain time frame? if we're working with a school about moving their practice, everyone moving their practice, we would say to intermediate or intermediate to advanced in a tool every 10 weeks. So we're not trying to set the world on fire. We're not trying to break any land speed records. But what we do realize is that if you move consistently and often, then what will happen is that in a year's time, you'll look back and you'll find that you've progressed a lot more than you thought you would. And so one of the things we often underestimate is how far we can progress in a year, but we overestimate how far we can go in short periods of time. And so it's much better to have a look on the long game at the end game than it is to just be looking at what you think you want the next week or two. So as you're transitioning into remote work and you're starting to settle into this process, and some schools in Australia are going back to school this week, all the schools in New Zealand are heading back to school, see this as a marathon, not as a sprint. And just say, okay, what do I need to do to just progress a little bit each day or a little bit each week and keep to move that one moving forward. So the URL is utb.fyi and then /skills, and then you can work on that. Now, if you're new to Google or you're new to Microsoft, we've got a whole bunch of courses that are set out step by step to show you how you can go from basic to intermediate and intermediate to advanced. And you're more than welcome to use that in conjunction with the skills checklist, because what you can do is self-identify the learning that you need and then be able to take the steps that you need. So if you're interested in it, I'm going to just drop a couple of links in here for you, just for you to explore, and maybe that would be something that would be of interest to you or some of your colleagues. This first one is a course for teachers who want to use a G Suite or Google tools effectively, and it's a real short introduction. So we take the approach of a non-technology adopter, someone who doesn't just love tech, and we just break it down into simple to use, simple to understand concepts that can help you take you where you are to where you need to be. And you can definitely find a way to work that one through. If you're new to OneNote and Microsoft tools, and we've been getting a lot of questions on this at the moment, then here is another link for you that you can have a look at, and it's our OneNote challenge. So I'm just going to put that up on the screen as well, and hopefully that's going to push through to the comments as well. So this is a 30-day OneNote challenge where you can get to understand how to use OneNote in the classroom to go paperless, to keep your students organized, and so on. And we've also got courses on Teams, which I'll drop into later on. We've got courses that take you deeper into Google tools and Microsoft tools as well. I might just throw one more in because this has been a really popular link for people who are really looking to embed Google use in a classroom, and it's called our Deep Dive Bundle. And so what we do is we dig deep into Google and how to use each of those tools at a deeper level. And again, if you're new to these Google tools, basically you don't need to freak out, because we've taken the time to just slowly work through each tool and scaffold the learning on top of that. For those of you that are in business, we've got a whole load of courses for you as well. And you just need to ask us. We'll share the links with those with you. And these are tools on how to use Google Sheets, for instance, or how to use email properly, how to get your calendar happening, how to collaborate in a document for a maximum of efficiency, and so on. So we've got a number of courses, but the whole point of this is to say, listen, there's a skills checklist, which is 100% free. You don't need to do anything to be able to get that. You just drop it in your email address and we'll just send it straight across to you. And then you can just start to look at how can I need to, progress in my teaching and learning, or in my progressions as a leader. One of the things that you need to understand if you're someone who's not an early adopter of technology, someone who's struggling right now, is you need to understand that small steps make up big journeys over time. And one of the things that I like to say to teachers all the time is that, one of the things I like to say is that big doors swing on small hinges. And so what I mean by that is that you don't need to have a massive shift in terms of how you're using technology. You just need to have like small changes that will shift big results for you. In business, one of the things we talk a lot about is the 80-20 principle, or the Pareto principle, which says that 80% of your results will come from 20% of your effort. And so one of the things that I really want to encourage you to look at is, if you're looking at where you are right now and where you want to get to, and maybe you see that as a big shift or a big jump, don't necessarily see it as a massive jump. What I would want you to do is see it as, what are small steps that I can take, small hinges that can swing a big door, that can take me a long way. So little things like understanding how to use comments properly in a collaborative document, whether that be in Microsoft Word or in Google Docs, where your students are getting immediate feedback from you as a teacher, and you don't have to be on a call with them live. Or if you're working in a business environment, being able to use that chat feature inside a Microsoft team, and then comment features inside a document to be able to track changes through, to make comments, to have discussions off the side of the document. Little things like that can win you back hours a day in terms of quick phone calls and video meetings to discuss. You can do it asynchronously. You don't all have to be online at the same time, at the same place. But it just enables that really nice workflow to be able to work. So little things like comments in collaborative document. Little things like understanding activities in different tools. So if you're in Microsoft Teams, if you go to the chat, you can see the activities of where people are at, your students are at, when have they last worked, what have they last worked on it, and so on. In a Google Doc, there's a little activity button up the very top right-hand corner of a document that will show when students last accessed a document and when they have worked on it and what they've done. And you can use revision history to find out the changes that have been made in a document over time, and when and so on. So you don't need to be like this amazing technology user who's doing deep technical things and finding little hidden buttons and workflows in the background. What you do need is the ability to just figure out, what are the 20% things that I can do that are going to get me 80% of the way there. And so anything that allows for communication is going to be great. So commenting and so on is going to be a winner. And anything that enables you to work asynchronously but keep everybody on the same page is really going to help. So sometimes we're getting questions around, how do we use Google Classroom? I can't find the documents there anymore. Then it's often just a little tweak in practice of how you're posting that document, putting it inside a topic that will enable that collaboration and that communication to flow. And really, 5-10 minutes of learning probably could get you 80% of the way there, and you don't need to stress about the rest while you're in this state. So one of the things I want to encourage you, if you're a non-early adopter of technology like I am, honestly, I still go to technology conferences and I feel out of place because there are all these people who are doing fizz, bang, wang, fangle dangle stuff with technology, and I'm just like, well, just show me the fundamentals that I need to be successful. Then I want to encourage you that you can do this. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Trust me. I don't say that lightly. I mean, I was a resistor of technology, but I found ways that I could just tweak little bits of practice that made a big difference. And the whole Using Technology Better company has been founded on this principle that we want to help not just the early adopters, but the big middle who are slower to adopt, but yet at the same time see opportunities for improvement. And so the way we explain things hopefully will connect with you more so than the early adopter. Other companies can do that. We're happy for them to take that group. We want to talk to the middle. We want to explain things in a way that makes sense to you. We want to break things down in terms of workflow that's going to help. And so if we can do anything in terms of being able to help you make that flow, there's lots of different ways you can contact us. You can go to usingtechnologybetter.com and then click on the About Us section or the Contact Us section and just drop us a link in there. On the usingtechnologybetter.com website, you'll see on the right-hand side, there's a little button that opens up Facebook Messenger, and you can type us a message in there, and we're more than happy to help you. We've also got so many articles on our website that you can just do a quick search for what you're trying to do, and there's probably a blog post on it. Our YouTube channel is full of quick how-to videos where we share our screen and you can follow along. And then we've got a number of courses that are available for you as well. So I really wanted to just take a moment out of today just to encourage you if you're feeling a little bit discouraged, a little bit despondent about having to rely on technology. If you're heading back to school, especially in Australia and New Zealand right now, and you're nervous about what this is going to look like, then that's okay. Just take small steps. Just tweak little things, try things. If it fails, it's not the end of the world. We can always recover from this, and we learn something in the process. So just what I'm encouraging you to do is just take your next step. Don't think that you have to get all the way there. Just take a little step, little step, little step, and those baby steps will take you a long way. When you look back at the end of this, you'll go, wow, I've really progressed. Also, just keep in mind that a big door swings on small hinges. And so little tweaks to your changes and practice will actually make a big difference. And so hopefully at the end of this, what I'm hoping is that you just feel a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more settled. You're willing to just have a go. Hopefully you've grabbed that skills checklist and you're going to just work your way through that. And if you come up against a particular item in that skills checklist that you don't know how to do, then reach out and ask. We're here to help. Hope you have a great day. If you're working back at school, hope it goes well for the first day back with students, maybe tomorrow. If you're still on holidays, then use this time just to brush up on your skills. Looking forward to speaking more with you on all of our different social media channels or in person over a video.